Hello and welcome back to A Year of Miracles with Inner Bloom. We are on lesson 101. God's will for me is perfect happiness. So this is just kind of repeating what we talked about yesterday. Um, a lot of what this lesson covers is what we touched on yesterday. It's about God's will for me is perfect happiness. It is not suffering. God's will for us is not suffering. The old ideas of I need to suffer in order to make up for the bad things I did. I need to be punished. I need to pay. I there needs to be like justice for what I did, et cetera, is all stories of the ego. They're all stories of the illusion. And what it's one of the things that keeps the illusion going, keeps the ego strong. And this tit for tat, this need for suffering, this idea of sacrifice, this idea of punishment, this idea of payment with your pain and suffering keeps you stuck and deep in illusion. Freedom comes from realization that 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 God's will for you is perfect happiness and your will for yourself is perfect happiness. The only reason we would ever will ourselves pain is because we believe that we need to punish ourselves for something that we did. We believe that it's some sort of protection, some sort of payment, but that is all lies. That is all lies of the ego. Your only purpose is for the salvation of yourself in the world, and through and to get there you get to realize that you are only meant for truth, which is happiness, love, abundance, safety, joy, etc., which all has that core essence of joy and happiness and peace. So there is no contradiction between God's will and your joy. Suffering is not of God. It's an error, and his will leads only to perfect happiness. So this lesson is really asking you to release and let go all of those old stories, all of those old beliefs that you are deserving of punishment, that you are deserving of pain, that you are deserving of your suffering, that it's some sort of payment, that it's some sort of retribution, that it's some sort of way to make up for the things that you think that you did that were wrong or bad or sinful or whatever term you want to use. This is to release this and return back to truth and your perfection, your wholeness, your essence as love, your essence as happiness. Like I said, any pain is of the ego and not real. It's self-imposed. I say that with a little bit of hesitance and a little bit of grain of salt because I understand that there can be like some physical pain or some other things, but holding on to that pain, um, staying in that pain, anything that arises, that is not necessary. You are meant for happiness. You are meant for joy. You are meant for peace. Believe that suffering, Belief that suffering is spiritual is a false teaching of the ego, which I already talked about. And happiness is not only your very right, it's your function. It's your function. Accepting God's will is the same as accepting joy. And again, like I said in the last lesson, how freeing is that? How freeing. We hold happiness and joy and somewhere out there in the future, somewhere out there, either like when I achieve, when I get the certain thing, or when I atone for something, when I've paid my dues. We can drop all that and we can just be in happiness now, just because it's who we are, just because it is God's will for us. Isn't that wonderful? Okay, so the way that you practice this, and in the morning and the evening, you contemplate God's will for me is perfect happiness. Invite that joy in and allow it to replace thoughts of pain. And then hourly, say the idea with conviction, smile, and let it land in your heart. As needed, use the idea anytime sadness or guilt arises to realign with truth. Sam?
Thank you so much. You're right, it is freeing. It is freeing. It's revolutionary, in fact. Joy is just. Joy is just, happiness is just, and it's just what you get to be. You don't have to earn it, you don't have to sacrifice for it, you don't have to feel bad about it. So anytime you feel yourself feeling bad about joy or happiness, you can literally just recognize that it's just the ego, an aspect of you that has believed that she had to feel bad for that. And you don't. It's your natural state. Like a baby. Remember, I always think when you feel really disconnected from your happiness and from your joy, um, think about when a bit being a baby. Babies are just they're just bundles of joy, right? They're just bundles of joy, and you are a bundle of joy, but you've been conditioned, and then all of this suffering and pain and fear has suppressed that little bundle of joy that is within you, right? So find that joy, not yet, find that joy within you, connect to it. You don't have to earn it, right? And sometimes it's just the allowing, right? Sometimes like I just have to sit there and go, I allow myself to be happy. I allow myself to feel joy. And it's like, oh yeah, like even just this lesson, you know, to like sometimes when you're just focused on work or focused on what you're doing or running around after the kids or whatever that looks like, you can still be joyful and do that, right? You can recognize, for example, I can recognize that I am so grateful that I am able to earn an income from doing what I love. And say you're a mom, I'm so grateful that I get to run around after my kids because they're my world, or whatever that looks like for you. Find the joy in that. Find the joy in the mundane. Find the joy just in presence, right? We don't have to seek anything else to feel joy. We can just feel it right now in whatever we're doing. It's just a switch, and just a switch that we then, just a switch that we switch on and then tune into, right? I also wanted to add something here, that it says, atonement is the return to innocence. This isn't about paying for your mistakes. It's about realizing there was no original mistake. Atonement in the course means at one moment, which I think is so powerful. At one moment, the return to unity with God and the truth of who you are. Atonement at one moment. Practicing this lesson affirms that you are already forgiven because there was never truly anything to forgive. Same way with the lesson that said about the problem and the solution. Well, there was never a problem. It was only your perception of a problem. So therefore, then the perception of a solution needed to be provided, right? And so, again, how freeing. You've not made any mistakes. You're not on the wrong path. You've not fucked everything up. And now your only job is salvation and to connect to happiness and joy. And we should not feel guilty for that. And I know that feels foreign, but this is why there's 365 lessons, because we have to program ourselves to accept this as safety and security for us. Because what happens is the ego likes the familiar, likes the known, and joy and happiness for a lot of us isn't known. So we have to feel safe in the certainty that we can be happy and joy without feeling bad for it, or without things fucking up, or without people being shitty that we're joyful or happy, right? And I actually, now thinking about it, I remember when I've been in situations with a partner at the time, and I'd be like, he was just happy or he was just joyful for no reason, just joy. And I always used to be like, why are you just happy? Like, what are you happy about? Now, looking at it, he was just in his natural state. And so I invite you, actually, I invite you to notice joy within you and around you. See who is joyful around you, because that's interesting to witness as well, because you'll start to notice it and you'll be like, oh yeah, that person's just seems happy for no reason. And then you're like, well, if they can just be happy for no reason, then so can I. It's you're building evidence. right? And so now, because we're planting seeds, you're going to start seeing a lot more joyful, happy people. And you'll be like, I swear there wasn't this many happy people before. Like, honestly, since doing this work, I have never noticed as many happy people have let me start again. I notice more happy people than I ever have before. Like people wave at me or people smile and say good morning. And it's just like, I swear that years ago people were grumpy, but now everybody's happy. Do you know what changed? I changed, right? So your mind loves to seek. So if you're struggling to feel joy and happiness, seek joy and happiness within other people and allow that to spark the joy and happiness within you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Well, that's it for lesson 101, and we will see you tomorrow for lesson 102.